Hi, welcome to Hollywood Crime Scene. This is Rachel Fisher.
This is Desi Jedeikin. So today we're what are we doing? Sorry.
It's October.
It's October. Thank you.
Wait, what are we doing?
We're doing horror movie versus reality all month. And this week we are going to be discussing the case that inspired the 2013 horror movie, The Conjuring. The success of this movie has led to many more in the Conjuring universe, including not just Conjuring movies, but the Annabelle movies and The Nun. Did you see The Nun?
No.
I didn't either.
I remember the billboards for it.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies in this universe.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So these movies kind of reintroduced Ed and Lorraine Warren to the masses, I think in a major way. At least the Ed and Lorraine Warren that the Warrens want you to believe they are, not the grifting frauds they likely were.
Yes.
The Conjuring movie is based on the quote-unquote true story of the Perron family. And my main source is by the Perron daughter, the oldest daughter, Andrea, and it is titled House of Darkness, House of Light. And I honestly, Rachel, deserve a raise for getting through this 500-page messy,
my God.
unedited, repetitive, poorly written book. It literally almost broke me.
Is this the first time on the show we've dragged the author of the source material?
Probably, but that's how awful it was.
Wow.
I mean, obviously this is not a professional writer, so she should have gotten help, and I don't know why she didn't, because this seems like it would be a popular book. But it was things like, when you're trying to write something based on a material, I would write something down like a story she would tell, and then 100 pages later, she would tell it again. Like, it was that level where I was like, I already wrote this down. Did it happen again? Or is she just repeating what happened?
Yeah.
It was like, so it made it really difficult to track things in a book that was already kind of about supernatural stuff.
Right.
So I did my best to make a narrative out of it. So if there are things that are slightly off, it's because I had to make a decision. Sometimes I had to make a decision. Like, is it called this room? Is it the cellar? Is it the chimney room? Is it this? Like, it was like one of those things.
Well,
where...
that's always my least favorite, is when I'm trying to parse what an author means by something.
Yes.
And then I end up going down a rabbit hole of like layouts of 18th century homes in America.
Yes.
To try and figure out like, well, which room would this be?
Well, then I also rewatched the movie. So I had that in my head as well, trying to use that to kind of figure out what she was talking about sometimes. But the movie is also probably embellished and like whatever.
Yeah.
Not 100% accurate. So let's get to the story of the Perron family, and then we will get some skeptical reality. This is going to be a movie versus reality, in air quotes, versus reality. So years before the Perron family moved into the Arnold estate, they seemed to be already cursed. A series of horrific events in their Rhode Island town of Cumberland was what led to them moving to the home in the first place. The first event was when their beloved dog, Bathsheba, yes, they're saying their dog's name is Bathsheba. That will interest you more later if you don't know the story already.
Okay.
Was killed after being hit by a car as the family watched. Then a local...
As they watched?
Yeah.
Why didn't
I guess
they
the
do
dog
anything?
ran out, got hit by a car. You know dogs, they're always running unexpectedly into the street.
Yeah, that's sad.
I guess. Then a local gang of boys, including their next-door neighbor's son, broke into the family home while the parents were on vacation, vandalizing the home, killing one of their cats, selling their 2 Siamese cats, and leaving only one cat behind who was cowering in a bush after escaping certain death when the family came home.
Did they get jail?
Well, nothing happened to this gang of boys, but the eldest Perron daughter, Andrea, plotted revenge on the neighbor boy and brutally beat him, only stopping when someone came along and held her back. In her mind, she was going to commit justifiable homicide in that moment.
I mean, they murdered one of their family members.
Absolutely. I was on her side. The mother, Carolyn, was already an anxious person, and she began begging her husband, Roger, to leave this town and to go somewhere peaceful in the country surrounded by nature. But Roger told her it was impossible at this time. They didn't have money to move, and there was hardly any equity in their current home to make it work. While Roger was out of town on business, another horrific incident took place. A neighbor had a heart attack while driving, crashing into the parent garden, and died in their front yard. This all became too much for Carolyn. She was convinced something was wrong. They didn't fit here. Her neighbors started to shun her and her family, and the wife of the man who died seemed to blame Carolyn for the accident.
But he drove into their house.
Agreed. I don't know why. I don't know why.
That's like one time somebody rear-ended me, and they were going fast, and they got out of the car and started yelling at me. I said I was at a stop sign.
Yeah. I feel like people just get into these heightened emotions and act out in weird ways. I don't know. It is very weird, though. Then there was a fateful moment. While waiting around as her daughter took a music lesson, Carolyn realized she had forgotten to bring something to read, so she went to a local market and bought a copy of the Woonsocket Call, a local newspaper. Which is very New England.
The Woonsocket Call.
Yeah. When she got home, she continued to peruse the newspaper, eventually reaching the classified section. She knew she shouldn't, but she immediately found her way to the land and farm for sale section. It was here she came across an ad for a 9-room colonial farmhouse with a barn plus 200 acres in Harrisville, Rhode Island for just $75,000. Now, despite the late hour, Carolyn called the realtor and made an appointment to see the property the next day. She didn't bother telling Roger, who was out of town on business again, because what was the point? He would just say no. It was love at first sight the moment Carolyn saw the home, which was built in 1738. She wrote them a check on the spot for $500 to hold the place, cleaning out their bank account. She'd just deal with Roger later. Roger, of course, was pissed when he found out, but Carolyn was adamant. She had no choice but to write the check to secure their future. What she didn't know was that there had been no other offers on the farm, much less any interest in the property, and there was really no risk she was going to lose out at all. Roger agreed to take the whole family to the property, and it was a magical day. Although he kept pointing out all the problems with the home, Carolyn knew he was also smitten. It turned out Roger had also started feeling like they didn't belong in Cumberland anymore. Roger had wanted the farm too the moment they rolled into the driveway. What Carolyn didn't know was that Roger had worked out a deal with the owner, Mr. Kenyon, while she was with the girls exploring. Mr. Kenyon wanted the family to have the farm, and they worked out a favorable financing deal in order for the parents to be able to make it work. When the parents told the kids the farm was there, they all cheered. In January of 1971, Roger and Carolyn and their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, moved to the farm in the midst of a snowstorm and began to settle in immediately. As Caroline organized and unpacked, Roger set about putting in light bulbs where they were burnt out. He didn't tell his wife at the time, but Mr. Kenyon said to him something very unusual during their negotiations. He said, "For the sake of your family, leave the lights on every night."
Wait, who said that?
Mr. Kenyon, the owner, the previous owner.
Oh, I'd ask, can I return the house?
Yeah. I mean, that's a sign, right? That's a red flag.
This is like my nightmare, is buying a house and then it is very haunted.
Right. So obviously Roger also thought it was unusual, but he kind of chalked it up to an old man being concerned because he had so many young girls in this airy, dark house. And Roger was like, maybe it's a good idea. They'll be able to navigate their way to the bathroom in the middle of the night. They're not going to be familiar here. So he kind of just let it slide. They all went to sleep their first night, accompanied by the creaks and moans of an old, unfamiliar house. Just 1 month went by before the first incident. One of Carolyn's favorite things was the way the house carried sound. One day when she was cleaning the kitchen, she could hear her youngest daughter, April, playing upstairs. But she was shocked when she turned and saw April was actually standing right by her. She panicked, thinking there was an intruder, ran upstairs, but there was nothing. April followed, scared, asking her mother if there was something wrong. Her mother said nothing. "I just thought I heard something." When April said next sent a chill down her spine. She said, "I hear things all the time up here, especially when I'm playing in the chimney closet." The chimney closet is kind of what they're calling this large armoire in the girls' room, which is in the movie. I had to look that up because I was
Mm.
like, what the hell is a chimney
Chimney
closet?
closet.
But it's actually like this, they call it that because it's where you keep your things to keep warm, I guess. So Carolyn didn't want to alarm April, and she's like, oh, it's just a creaky old house. But she couldn't calm herself down. She was
Yeah.
just doing it for her child. She put April down for her nap, but the sick feeling in her stomach was there, still tightening like a knot. She felt a presence, almost like she was being watched. The parlor felt particularly chilly, and Carolyn noticed that her clock had stopped in there. But she had no time to look into why, as the school bus had just dropped off her other 4 girls. They all immediately snuggled up in blankets in this parlor room because it was so chilly all the time in this house was fucking freezing. Minutes later, April appeared in the parlor, groggy and cranky, accusing her sisters of waking her up by violently shaking her. Her sisters just laughed, but Carolyn knew it was impossible any of them did that since she was with them the whole time since they've been home. She curled April up in her arms and began to wonder what's happening in this house. When Roger returned from his business trip, she broached the subject with him, but he immediately brushed it off. Carolyn let him convince her it was just the old house. Carolyn agreed to just end the convo. She didn't want to talk about it anymore with him because he was very anti whatever. He didn't believe in anything like this.
And, woman, you made me buy this house.
Yeah, that's why it took her so long to broach it because she knew it was sort of her.
It was her idea.
Yeah. So what she didn't know at the time, though, was that all the girls were experiencing similar things, but no one was talking about it yet. They finally began to speak to each other about it, but no one told Roger, who once again didn't believe and would actually become angry if something was brought up at this point. He's like, I don't care. It's an old house. Like, shut up.
Well, he needs to be nicer.
He's
more
definitely more of an
sensitive.
abusive 70s dad. He's not the nice Patrick Wilson of the movie.
He should be more sensitive.
I agree. Especially he's a girl dad. Come on, dude.
Step it up.
You should be getting your nails painted playing princess with them, and everyone will be charmed by you.
Yeah.
So initially things were very benevolent, and the spirits had names: Mrs. Arnold, Johnny Arnold. They were previous residents of the home.
Who named them?
That's their names. The ghost told them.
So Johnny Arnold, Mrs. Arnold, they lived there before the cellar?
They're back from the olden days.
These are olden days ghosts.
Yeah, because it's the Arnold estate, so they're Arnolds.
And this was built in the 1700s.
Yes.
So are they carrying candlesticks and wearing the honk shoo shoo sleep getup?
Yeah, they have the sleep gowns and the hat.
The hat.
Mrs. Arnold was very kind. She would tuck the girls in at night, and sometimes they would feel a kiss on their forehead. Johnny liked to play with their toys.
Ooh. I don't like Johnny.
Yeah, I think he's young.
Oh, he's young.
So he's not an old guy.
Oh. Okay. I thought he was old.
I'm Johnny. Can I play with your toys? There was also a ghost they called the sweeper. They would hear him sweeping, and then they would find little piles of dust on the floor throughout the house.
I'm a chimney sweep.
It was Dick Van Dyke's greatest role.
Van Dyke.
But things took a turn. Cynthia was the first to make contact with a more malevolent spirit. She described a smoky, silky figure emerging from a closet door that she accidentally... You're not taking this seriously,
I'm sorry,
Rachel. These people are terrified.
And I'm the ghost believer here, but silky.
Silky. She accidentally crashed into it while she was running back to the kitchen to get something she forgot for school, and it immediately disappeared. But before it disappeared, she took in a deep breath of the fiery, rancid air, and that had led to her convulsing.
Was it the smoke demon from Fern Gully?
Yes, it was. It was not Silky, though. The Fern Gully, that's a black.
I guess he was blobby.
He's blobby.
But he's he's played
toxic.
by Tim Curry, so he's like a little
sassy.
Silky sassy.
Yes.
So Cynthia is she the eldest girl?
No, Andrea is the eldest, and she's the one who wrote the book.
Okay.
Cynthia pulled herself together, and she did end up going to school, but an hour later her mother had to pick her up because she fell asleep at her desk. She then proceeded to sleep for the next 2 days. But it wasn't a cold or flu. There was no other symptoms. It was just the contact she had with the house.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine that a paranormal experience as intense as this one has to make you tired.
Well, and more, because this house and the entities in the house are literally draining the life force from this family. Carolyn had been suffering from joint and muscle pain the moment they moved in. Obviously, initially, she thought it was just from the move, but it never subsided and only got worse. She had zero energy. As seen in the movie, she had lots of unexplained bruises and chronic pain, which led to an increasingly irritable demeanor, and she was just no longer herself. She was always on edge, and if you're in chronic pain, I mean, that's pretty common. The humans weren't the only ones being affected. Their pets would often stare into the distance, terrified, hissing sometimes.
Well,
I mean, this happens even in a non-haunted space.
cats, I don't know about dogs. I've never been a dog owner, but cats do see beyond the veil. We know this.
Yes, and sometimes they wouldn't go into certain rooms. They'd like stand
Now,
out.
I
and
would be
never.
afraid.
I would too.
Because
I get afraid when my cat stares into space now.
I remember one time 2 of my cats were standing in the hallway and they were just staring at the attic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's in there? What's up there?
Because it's like best case scenario, it's like a possum or a raccoon.
And you still don't want that.
I still don't want that.
I still don't want
I don't
that.
want to deal with that. So that's like something's up there probably.
Yeah.
And that's scary. So and then came the flies.
Uh-oh.
Despite
It's always flies.
Despite it being freezing conditions, flies were often seen swarming around the house, sometimes massive amounts in a single space, or the worst thing, and I agree with this 100%, just one large fucking fly being aggressive like a little bitch.
I hate that.
Do you know those big fat, it's like, why are you still alive?
I don't
You've
like
survived
it.
to get to this fat level, you little chunky fly.
The chunky fly.
How did you survive?
Doesn't know how to exit the window. I've opened the window for you.
And they're slow.
Sir.
It's disgusting. So trying to exterminate them was a nonstop job, not only killing them, but they would have to clean up these massive amount of fly carcasses, which is disgusting.
They didn't even have a Dyson back then.
No. At some point, Carolyn finally broke down and unloaded the full extent of everything to Roger, who was constantly on business trips. He has some job where he's always out
What
of
is
the
this
house.
guy's deal?
He's just a classic a-hole. You know me, I never curse. He had been gone much of their stay at the house. She even went as far as saying she thought it had been a mistake buying the farm, which was a lot for her to admit. He once again dismissed her concerns, and a week after this conversation, the flies seemingly just disappeared. Years later, a woman would say the flies were a harbinger of things to come, telling Carolyn, "You can't kill what's already dead." That woman would be a Lorraine Warren.
Oh, boy.
We're not going to see her yet, but that's just something she talked about. Flies are always, they're a big part in the Amityville horror.
Is it like some religious thing? Is there like some Christian thing about flies?
No.
What is it? What is it about because the Amityville, I always think of that.
Yeah, that's like a big part of the Amityville. I feel like it's another thing. Maybe it's just a death thing. Because flies will hover around dead things.
Right.
So maybe that's what it is.
Look, there might be some symbolic explanation for flies.
I didn't see any, because Lorraine will always be like, that's disrespecting the Trinity.
Because the Warrens, the other thing about them, they're very Catholic.
They're devout Catholic.
Devout Catholics.
Yeah. So they're always going to bring a religious thing to any circumstance.
Right.
So the family does not move, but adjustments were made. The children sort of made these little pacts that they would always stay together as much as possible and never go to the bathroom alone, stuff like that, especially when a malevolent male entity started coming around. In the book, Andrea says there was an incident involving him that no one ever speaks of, but strongly indicates some kind of sexual assault may have happened to one or all of the girls from this male entity.
Oh.
Paranormal events at the home became more and more aggressive. The children had a beloved chalkboard in their playroom they used for like school stuff. Whenever they would leave the playroom upon returning, they would find that everything they had previously written had been erased.
And one time they came back and it said, "Your mother's sex cookies in hell." Written on the board.
And then they actually erased that. When they had the idea to always have at least 2 stay with the chalkboard when the other whatever left to go to the kitchen or bathroom, The erasing stopped, but shortly after they came up with the solution, they came in and saw the chalkboard had been completely shattered. So it was an old slate chalkboard, and it was just slivers of slate just shattered everywhere. So Carolyn once went out to the barn to inspect it with hopes of eventually housing animals in it. When she entered it, it was weirdly cold. She was soon paralyzed with fear as she saw a scythe that had been hanging on the wall was airborne and speeding in her direction.
What?
So a scythe is what the Grim Reaper has.
Yes.
It's like that curved blade with a handle, a very scary instrument, in my opinion. I don't want to see a scythe.
I don't ever want to see one.
I don't want to see it, and I don't want to see it speeding in my direction. Now, luckily, she had so many thick layers of outerwear on that when it hit her, it only left a massive bruise between her neck and shoulder blade, but it could have easily sliced her neck if she didn't have these big down coats on.
She had that Montclair jacket on.
She did.
Serving cunt in the barn.
Who doesn't want to serve cunt in the barn? That's what I love about Meredith Marks or someone like that. That doesn't matter where they're going to go.
She's serving.
She's serving. So more disconcerting than that was her inability to move out of the way. She felt completely paralyzed as it flew towards her. And this incident obviously shook her to her core. The bruised tissue obviously healed fast, but the wound to her psyche was much, much more permanent. Years later, Carolyn would discover that Mrs. John Arnold had killed herself by hanging in the barn in the same area that the scythe had come from.
Did the scythe do anything else? Or it was just where
just this
the
one.
Scythe was hanging out?
Yeah.
In that
area. The
area.
scythe was waiting for its moment. You'd just get rid of the scythe.
Get rid of
that
it.
hanging around. The entity wasn't done with Carolyn yet. Once she was taking a shower after some messy housework when a neighbor came over with a cake. So the neighbor was sitting there with the girls in the kitchen waiting for Carolyn. Soon the girls and the neighbors heard Carolyn screaming from upstairs.
The ghost sat in the cake. It was filming fetish content.
Yeah.
For its other ghost friends.
Ghostly fans.
Ghostly fans.
Yeah.
I love that.
I would pay for that.
Me too.
The girls ran upstairs to see their mother being beaten by a wire coat hanger.
What?
It was the ghost of Joan Crawford. I'm just kidding.
That's crazy.
So it was just a wire coat hanger beating their mom, no one holding it. Well, a ghost holding it.
Joan Crawford.
An invisible ghost. When they came downstairs, the neighbor was just sitting silently.
With the cake.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't sign up for all this. I was just being neighborly.
The neighbor looks down at the cake and says, "Why is there a pussy print in my cake?"
The ghost wrote something and sat on it. When she finally spoke up, she said, "The former owners always kept the lights on every night, all the lights every night." And
they're warned again.
They're warned again. And Carolyn didn't know this because her husband never told her. So this is the second time someone told them.
Wait, the husband didn't tell the wife?
No.
Not even it's weird.
No.
Like, you'd think if your spouse really is your best friend, that's something you'd be like, you'd talk about. You'd be like, oh my God, the neighbor said the weirdest thing.
They have a terrible relationship.
I can tell.
And we'll get into that more. So... Well, I'm getting into it right now.
Okay,
Making
good.
matters worse, the relationship between Roger and Carolyn became incredibly strained. They had a lot of issues, but he was a staunch Republican. She was a Democrat, and he was enraged over the Vietnam War, not in a good way, but in a right-wing way.
So he wanted more war?
He was like, why aren't we winning this thing? They used to fight about that. He was also a massive skeptic. So anytime she brought up any of the ghost shit, he was pissed. And this obviously would frustrate and enrage her because she felt unheard. And he just saw his wife wasting away and he's like, ugh, she's mentally ill too. He was just pissed at everything. And it was almost like the house was causing strife in the marriage, but they had some issues already. When the house started smelling like death, Carolyn knew it was the entities, and Roger was like, my mentally ill wife's a slob now. Everything was her fault.
So
basically.
He thought she stank.
Or wasn't cleaning things or letting meat rot or
maybe
whatever.
Rod, is that his name?
Roger.
Raj.
He should be Rod.
Raj, why don't you pick up a broom? Why don't you pick up a sponge? You can help clean the house.
Also, if you think your wife is mentally ill, why would you not try to help her?
Yeah.
treatment or something, if you actually believe that.
This guy
But
sucks.
no, he's terrible. So they finally do kind of band together when it comes to restoring this fireplace because it's so cold and they haven't been able to use the fireplace. The previous owner, for some reason, had sealed off this area in the cellar where the flue is, which is how you kind of clear out the fireplace and stuff. This area is kind of behind and below the fireplace. And this was like in the movie, they discover this boarded up entrance to these stairs that go down to this cellar. And at the time, obviously, this was this miracle discovery because they could finally get this fireplace working. But later on, they wondered if they had inadvertently reopened a portal to hell.
Not that.
I mean, it's one of those two options, right?
Well, hell is hot. Maybe it'll heat their house.
Right. And why did they board it up? That makes no sense either. Because it's like they needed to access this space because it was where all the heating, like the furnace was, the flue to the chimney, etc.
Well, the previous owner boarded it up because it's a portal to hell.
Absolutely.
But
that's why you have to ask.
You have to say, why was this boarded up?
You don't just gleefully tear down a boarded up wall and not wonder why.
Is there a reason? Is Castle Freak in there?
Have any of these people seen any media or movies about haunted houses before?
Right.
So Carolyn eventually confides everything into her old friend, Sam, and he says to her, hey, looks like you purchased a haunted house. So this was kind of a frightening thing to hear, but also a relief that someone believed
I'm
her
not
finally.
crazy.
Yes. In an attempt to repair their relationships, they go on a date night. When they return, they fall fast asleep, but Carolyn is awakened in the middle of the night when she hears footsteps. Thinking it's one of her daughters, she turns groggily toward the footsteps with her arms open to embrace her child, only to discover that what is actually approaching is a hideous, disfigured woman who appears to have her neck broken because it's hanging lifelessly to one side.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. She only has, she has no hands and no feet, and she's just kind of hovering over. Yeah. And Carolyn screams in terror, desperate to wake Roger up, but no matter how hard she shakes and kicks and jostles at him, he's like comatose. He won't wake up. The entity appears to want to kiss Carolyn, and it's like a kiss of death in her mind. The only thing she can think to do is hide under the covers, say a prayer, and when she finally looks out again, the entity is gone, but the chill and the stench remain. She's afraid she's going to forget what happened, so she immediately writes down a detailed description of the woman and what happened in her notebook, and she leaves that accidentally on the top of her desk. The next day, she finds Andrea reading the journal, and she says, Mom, I know this woman. I dreamed about her last night. She wants to hurt you. She then said that she heard her mom's screams, that they woke her up last night, but she couldn't move to help her. Now, everyone sort of begins to confess more of their terrifying experiences. One of the more disturbing ones was April told her family or her sisters and mom that she had been playing with a little boy's spirit for months. Everyone agreed that
Johnny.
I don't know if it was Johnny. I think it was a different one. In the movie, they call him like Romy or Remy. And in the book, I think his name is Oliver. So it was a different little boy.
Okay.
Everyone agrees maybe Johnny is an old man. I think he's like maybe younger though. Not a kid though, like a teen maybe. Everyone agrees that things were getting more scary and that there was one entity in particular that seemed obsessed with destroying Carolyn. The family would soon experience three massive paranormal things. Carolyn was the focus of these three experiences. The first was while the girls and Carolyn were by the fireplace and a column of light beamed down from the ceiling into Carolyn, causing immense pain and terror before disappearing.
Wait, Carolyn disappeared?
No, the light disappeared.
Okay.
It just came down and hit her and like injured her and was like, she was like writhing in pain.
Right.
And then it just disappeared. A lot of the worst activity takes place by this fireplace in the cellar. So that's like where
in the cellar or by the fireplace.
Yeah. Yes. One time at 5:15 a.m. an early morning, what can best be described as the gates of hell opening in the house happened. There was demons, fire, the house was rattling and humming, and the room was lit up by torches entering the bedroom of Roger and Caroline.
Torches?
Yeah, she said there was 8 to 10 spirits, And they were
And they were
chanting.
holding torches?
Yeah. Yep. Like that Nazi rally.
Okay, what
Tiki torch.
was it tiki torches?
No, I'm
What were
thinking
they?
it's more old school Frankenstein.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
picturing. What
So
were they
they were
chanting?
chanting, "Beseech thee, leave mistress before ye came, and mistress will be here again." Again.
Okay. That's how you know it's old-timey, is when again rhymes with something that it doesn't rhyme
Yeah,
with.
again.
When it's again.
Then the grotesque woman with the broken neck reappeared, and she went over and kissed Roger.
Ew.
It was once again ended with Carolyn praying. This is also a common theme with the Warrens in any story they're related to. Like, prayer always like saves the day. It's like, we
Okay.
prayed, I said the Lord's Prayer, and the demon stopped effing me.
And
It's
it's
like,
and it seems like they always find people who are also like religious too,
yeah,
right?
and Carolyn and Roger, I think they claim to be like lapsed Catholics, but obviously this experience sends Carolyn back into the fold.
Well, especially because people like the Warrens, or the Warrens specifically, they put such an emphasis on how
Yeah.
Catholicism is the only way to exorcise these
Yes.
demons.
Yes.
If it were me, I would ask around in the area, are there any non-denominational secular ghost exterminators?
Absolutely. And then Zach Baggins would show up.
Ugh,
That's the problem.
that's the problem.
So there is some speculation by the Warrens and Carolyn, and I guess some of her family members, that the main female entity who hated Carolyn was in love with Roger.
Why would you be in love with Roger?
I don't know.
He's terrible.
Maybe she just wants any man. She's like a pick-me demon.
Yeah.
And he would later reveal that sometimes when he would go down into the cellar because the furnace stopped working or whatever, he would feel caresses as he was going down the stair.
So now he believes.
Yeah. I guess he said, maybe that one time someone jerked me off.
Yeah, he got jerked off in the cellar, and now he's a believer.
Carolyn also began to have fainting spells and a constant need to be by the hearth. Once she fainted near it and fell into the fire, getting severely burned. Carolyn became determined to find out who this demon was that was ruining her life and trying to kill her. She was helped in this endeavor after randomly meeting a woman named Fran, who was kind of a local history buff, and thrilled to see and investigate Carolyn's old historic home. Carolyn began researching the history of the home, and that involved talking to locals and then confirming all of their stories via psychics. The best way to confirm any information.
Absolutely.
She discovered that it had been in the same family for 8 generations and that many of them had died under mysterious or horrible circumstances. Several of the children had drowned in a nearby creek, one was murdered, and a few of them hanged themselves in the attic. In her research, Carolyn came across a woman named Bathsheba Sherman who had a dark reputation. This blew her mind because, as you recall, their beloved dog was also named Bathsheba. According to Carolyn, Bathsheba was an Arnold who lived in the farmhouse in the 1800s. She had killed an infant, possibly her own, with a knitting needle by impaling its skull, but she was then acquitted at trial due to lack of evidence. Bathsheba was also accused of beating and starving her farmhands for years. Eventually, after drowning one of her children in the home's well, she hung herself in the attic as well. Locals believed that she was a witch who practiced dark arts and was also a devil worshiper. Carolyn began to think Bathsheba was trying to possess her and take over her life so she could get with Roger. And that's where we will meet Ed and Lorraine Warren, and we will take a break and be back with more. So I'm not going to get too deep into the Warrens here because we do want to get to them in a main episode one day, but I feel like I have to just give a little bit of info on them. Ed Warren is a self-taught and self-professed demonologist. His wife claims to be a clairvoyant and a light trans medium. They both obviously writers. They wrote a ton of books. They are lecturers. And in 1952, they established the New England Society for Psychic Research. And they basically would drive around investigating incidents of paranormal activity. Sometimes without even being asked, they would just show up on someone's door knocking, like, hey, we heard you had a ghost here.
Mm.
Obviously, in New England, you're going to get a lot of hits because it's a very old area, lots of old houses.
Haunted.
It's a very haunted region of the country.
New England is where you get the ghosts in the triangle hats.
Yeah, they're the classic. Also, the Salem witches.
You get
were up
those.
there.
You get witch ghosts. You get all the super old timey hocus pocus ghosts.
Yeah.
Here, California.
Yeah.
What kind of ghosts do we get? 1920s ghosts
They're
over
like,
here.
hello. They speak in the
Hey.
North Atlantic accent
The
or whatever,
Mid-Atlantic.
the Mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah, they do. They're like, oh, why don't you come and see me sometime? They're all like Mae West ghosts.
Yes. So in 1970, just prior to meeting the parents, the Warrens had attracted national attention with their strange case involving a Raggedy Ann doll that was haunted by a demonic spirit. This doll was possessed by a young girl named Annabelle. We talked about this case. Is it on a Haunted Dolls episode?
I think it's on the Haunted Dolls episode on Patreon.
Okay.
That's a great episode. We talk about Robert the doll, too.
Okay. I did, FYI, if you were looking to join our Patreon this month, I did put together a collection of all of our haunted Patreon episodes.
Ooh.
So we have haunted dolls, haunted attractions, haunted fast food, haunted restaurants. There's a bunch of them. So there's a whole haunted collection now.
Great. Some of those are some of my favorite. Those haunted attractions episodes are classic.
Is that the one where someone shit in or that was a different one? Didn't someone poop in an attraction?
Yes.
Is that a haunted attraction?
Yes. All sorts of bodily fluids have been left inside haunted attractions.
That first haunted attraction episode is
so
a banger.
Good. It's such a banger.
So yeah.
If you want some extra spooky for Halloween month, join our Patreon, patreon.com/Hollywood Crime Scene. And Desi has put together a collection of all the best.
These are just ones that are haunted related, but we should put some other scary ones together too.
Okay.
I just did that really fast.
Okay.
So anyway, we do discuss Annabelle, and that's a movie in the Conjuring universe. This got a lot of national press. They were big on the lecture circuit, and they kind of became the most famous paranormal investigators working at this time. Carolyn finds out about them and contacts them to check out her haunted house. Now, there's also people who said Ed and Lorraine contacted her. I don't know which one it is, so I'm just going with Carolyn. They made multiple trips to investigate these hauntings happening at the farm.
I gotta say about Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
Like, get a life. Like, I feel like they have no life.
I don't know why. Well, I know why.
I mean,
I hate Ed more.
I mean, I know that Ed and Lorraine were very busy people, but I feel like they were busy being busybodies. I don't know.
They're stirring the pot.
There's something very loser about them.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like you wouldn't know from these Conjuring movies because it's like Vera Farmiga and like Patrick Wilson, and they look really hot.
Yeah.
And Ed and Lorraine are not hot.
They're not hot
at all. And their style is so bad. Like, she looks like she's from like Gigi, like the old biddy. She has like the pile of curl. I mean, her style is so bad.
Yeah.
And she was like consultant on the original Conjuring movie because she was still alive. Ed was dead at that point. So anyway, regardless of what we think, a lot of people were like, these people are great.
Right.
They wanted these people. This was who you wanted if your house was haunted. So they sent like research team members out. They were like, yeah, we saw a misty figure of a woman. We heard noises. There was other shit happening. And Lorraine said, I knew the house was haunted. All I had to do was walk in. And she's like, something demonic is here. That's like...
That's like a dumb
classic.
Bitch ghost hunters.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Just walking
something
in.
is like demonic.
Lorraine Warren devoured this research that Carolyn had found about Bathsheba. She's probably like, I wish I made this shit up.
I know.
From then on, they just referred to the presence at the house as Bathsheba, because why not? It's a badass name for like a demon.
Yeah.
You know? Once Lorraine was there, while Lorraine was there, Carolyn experienced a sudden piercing pain in her calf while lying on the sofa. Upon inspection, it was a perfectly circular wound. And Lorraine was like, That's like as if a large sewing needle had punctured your skin. And she's like, that witch took the needle she killed her baby with into the afterlife and she's stabbing you with it.
The needle's haunted.
I don't like that knitting needle. It's like, get that away from me.
Yeah.
As part of their services, Lorraine led a bizarre seance in the cellar room where Bathsheba's presence was the strongest. This is depicted in like the final scene of The Conjuring. It's a really long scene that's so loud.
I gotta be
almost
honest.
Can't watch it.
I gotta be honest with you and the listeners. I've never seen The Conjuring.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's not like, I mean, it's directed by James Wan, so it's.
I like James Wan.
It's not like a bad movie, but I've only seen it like twice because I rewatched it this week. This scene is so irritating to me because it's just like screaming for like 20. I don't know. It feels like an hour. It's just so long. You're like, poor Lily Taylor. Like, let her be.
Yeah,
this is crazy. So, there have this seance. I said she popped off, but it autocorrected. She pooped. That's a saying. That's how you clear the demons out. She did all the things. She levitated, spoke in tongues.
Carolyn.
She got thrown around in the room. She was supposedly getting possessed by Bathsheba. And Ed performs an exorcism. Now, this is illegal because he was not a certified exorcist. You can only do that if you're like a Catholic church guy.
And he's like, I just love...
In the movie, it's very funny. And I think in real life, he's always like, I can't perform an exorcism because I'm not allowed to. I'm not certified.
In the movie.
No, but I think in real life, I think he low-key was kind of like, look, I'm technically allowed to do this.
Of course, I'm saying in the movie, they depict him as being like, sheepish about it.
Yes, because he's always like, I can't do it even though I could do it. But he does do it in the movie.
Right.
Because she's getting possessed. So it's like, you can't like be like, oh, it's a formality. You got to be like, look, she's possessed right now. Just because I don't have the certificate, I am a demonologist. Look, all of this shit is fake. Like, why can't I do it? Right?
Here's my problem. Look, I believe in ghosts. I'm totally into the paranormal. But one thing I don't believe in is demons.
Really?
No.
I feel like, why? Because if you believe in one, what's the difference?
Because demons has a religious connotation.
But couldn't they just also be evil ghosts?
I think there can be malevolent spirits or maybe spirits that like have bad vibes, but I don't believe in demons from the afterlife or the beyond. I just don't. Yeah. I never have. I can believe like certain ghosts are like creepier than others or like more annoying.
I like the idea of demons.
I don't.
Because it's like, they're scary.
I mean, they're scary, I guess. I guess
it doesn't matter, though, to me, if it's a demon or a very bitchy ghost. Like,
I think ghosts can be bitchy, and I have encountered a bitchy ghost before, but she wasn't, like, gonna kill me or possess me.
Do you think ghosts can try to kill you?
No.
Oh.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I think that places can be so haunted that it's terrifying for you and that the vibes are really bad and I don't want to be in that space.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in demons.
But you do believe in curses.
I do.
So you think
but it's
Robert
more of a bad vibe.
Could curse you and you die.
No, I don't think I could die. I just think it's bad times.
Oh.
It's a bad vibe.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really that much of a believer, period. So it doesn't really make a difference to me what it is.
I'm just saying if my house was haunted, I would have to, the ghost hunter, whoever was doing that, I'd be like, it's not a demon.
You wouldn't want to have, like, you want to, like you said,
I want
maybe
secular
a Unitarian
exorcism. Maybe Unitarian, okay.
Maybe a Unitarian.
I could do maybe a Unitarian. I just don't want anything.
You don't want to bring, like, the Catholic stuff is demons.
The power of Christ just does not compel me.
No, absolutely
It just
not.
doesn't.
Well, it compels Ed.
I know.
Because he's like, I'm doing it. And he exorcises, or whatever it's called, Bathsheba. Andrea claims in her books that she secretly witnessed this seance, and she confirms that her mother was not speaking a language of this world, not her own voice. She says the chair did levitate and was thrown across the room. And she said whoever the spirit was perceived herself to be the mistress of the house, and she resented the competition my mother posed for that position. Like, Roger is not that hot.
Mm-mm.
Like, he's played by Ron Livingston in the movie, and you're like, ooh, yeah. Like, I would possess her and get with that.
Yeah.
But not the real Roger. He's hideous.
Yeah.
Roger throws the Warrens out. That's pretty funny.
Wait.
He kicks them out because
Yeah.
he's kind of like, and I kind of agree with him on this one. You know, every once in a while you have to agree with a bad man.
Yeah.
They're right twice a day, like a broken clock or
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like, you guys are making my wife's mental state worse.
Yeah.
Because you're feeding into all her beliefs that he thinks is delusions, right? And to some extent, I think that could be true.
Right.
Like, they're building it up more and making it like she's getting possessed. It's like, well, maybe she does need some help. Maybe she's had a nervous breakdown. Who the hell knows, like, what's happening with her?
Yeah.
So he's like, we need to cut ties with you guys.
Get him out of there.
Now, despite the farm being overrun with demons, including a knitting needle infant killing witch,
the crops are yielding lots of fruit.
No, they continue living there until 1980.
Huh?
So almost 10 years there, like 9 years they're there.
Dude, flip it and sell it.
Now, miraculously,
get out of there.
The hauntings stop when they move out. So let's get to some of the debunking.
So the haunting stopped when they moved out. So this family had bad vibes.
They were the haunted.
They were haunted people.
So Caroline did have a few facts right in her research, but she was a dumb bitch too.
Oh.
She had a lot wrong as well. She wasn't as good at researching as maybe she thought. Now, and I say dumb bitch with affection.
Okay.
Because we make mistakes sometimes,
of course.
Because we're only as good as our sources, right?
And we're human.
We're human. So there was really a woman named Bathsheba Sherman. She lived in the 19th century in Rhode Island. She was born in 1812, married a man named Judson Sherman in 1844 at the age of 32, which is a spinster back then.
In those days.
Her grave notes that she died in 1885 at the age of 73, approximately 4 years after her husband. She did not hang herself during her youth or her childbearing years, as reported by Carolyn. And the Burrillville Gazette noted that she died following, quote, a sudden paralysis, which is how they used to describe what a stroke was in the 1800s. So in the book by Andrea Perrin also claimed that all of Bathsheba's children died before the age of 4, but the census records show that one of her sons, Herbert, lived a long life, even outliving his mother. The fate of her other 3 children is unclear, but to be honest, kids died young back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't that uncommon, especially maybe in a farm, rural life, things happen. And they lived by a creek.
Right.
In Andrea's book, Carolyn is described as speaking with a man named Mr. McKeachum. He was supposedly a local historian who gave her a lot of this information. But people who have looked into the case could not find any evidence of a historian in that area with this name. And they couldn't find any evidence of a trial involving Bathsheba. And a trial of a woman killing her baby with a knitting needle in the head would have been a big news story.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. And there's no record of it in any courthouse documents, local papers, nothing. There are records, however, that she is a lifelong member or was a lifelong member of the local Baptist church. Her minister conducted her funeral ceremony, and both of those are unlikely if she truly was a Satanist. Like, he's not going to go all out for that.
Right.
So there's really no evidence that Bathsheba is this witch that they claim, and that's the whole basis of this haunting, supposedly, in their opinion.
They're sullying this good Christian woman's name.
Actually, like, a lot of people are mad about that. Not that anyone fucking cares or know who she is, but they are like, she didn't do anything and doesn't deserve to have this reputation.
I mean, it is kind of gross.
It's kind of gross because it's like, she does have a very unusual name. So it's like, what if she has descendants from that one son? And they're like, hey, that's my great-great-grandma.
Exactly.
She was a nice lady. How dare you? So obviously, once something like this happens, the skeptics come in trying to debunk a lot of what is going on here. One of the skeptics who took on this case, his name is Jim Nickel. He's pretty famous in this arena. He's done a lot of work debunking hauntings and things like that. He wrote an article for the Skeptical Inquirer in 2016, and he basically went to this farmhouse with some other people, or with the people who owned it at the time, to investigate demonic activity there, and kind of came up with a lot of reasons or explanations for everything that they claimed happened. And it's a lot of classic haunted house stuff. Things like doors and cabinets mysteriously opening can be caused by fluctuations in temperature, where wood and metal warp and kind of bend, so a door latch can come undone. Things like that are very common. As far as what Andrea called the devil's pets, the flies, this is a very common occurrence. They're actually not house flies. They're called cluster flies, and they behave as described. They get in these huge clusters, and it's a thing. And obviously that's scientific. It's not demonology. There were some incidents in the kitchen I didn't mention, but this area in the kitchen that was off the cellar door by the hearth was kind of the most haunted area. One time, Andrea said that she witnessed a pot of meatballs go flying off the surface of the stove without assistance. Of course, I had to bring that up just because meatballs make everything funnier. But her mother actually debunked her, and she said it appears that it was Roger in a fit of anger. He threw he hit.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at this, but
he threw the pot of meatballs and then kicked the pot past his daughter.
This sounds like a very sad story. A mom who wants to hide the domestic problems with her husband. Oh, it was a ghost who threw the meatballs.
Honestly, I think that's pretty accurate.
That's chilling.
There was also a time where she was peeling an orange and she thought blood was trickling from it, but they speculate that she probably had accidentally purchased a blood orange and had never seen it before. So when she cut into it and the red juice came out, it scared her.
Oh my God.
And I believe that because blood oranges weren't as popular back then.
They were not.
Now they're a big thing, and they're quite red. It is kind of shocking. So they're also researched their claims of all these deaths that happened on the farm. Bathsheba Sherman, obviously, I said, did not hang herself in this barn. But Susan Arnold, at the age of 93, did hang herself at a different house, not this house. She was the wife of John Arnold, and she locked herself in an attic somewhere in the area, but not this farm, and was hanging from a wardrobe hook with a small cord.
She did that at 93?
Yeah, I think so. That's crazy. So a lot of these weird deaths, they have this thing in the area, the Black Book of Burrillville. And that's a book in this town where they list all of the unusual deaths by historians.
Cool.
I know. I kind of wanted to see that. So a lot of these deaths would have definitely been in there, especially Bathsheba.
Right.
Like anything like that, or the needle baby. The needle baby, it's very disrespectful. Other Arnold deaths that she wrongly assumed happened at the house. I mentioned Johnny Arnold. He didn't die on the property, but he did have an unusual death. There was another child named Prudence who was murdered at the age of 12. This detail killed me because it said her throat was slashed by a jilted suitor. But I was like, she was 12. She had a suitor?
Suitor?
That's crazy. But this was not at the farm. It was at the home of her step-parents in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. And then there was another John Arnold who was 57 years old. He did commit suicide by taking a dose of Paris green. This is an insecticide and rodent poison. This was at his house in Tarkiln, though not at the farm, as alleged by Carolyn. One man named Jarvis Smith did die of exposure on the property in 1901, but none of the other deaths listed by Carolyn occurred there. And she also had said Prudence was raped on the farm. That also has no report, etc. Now, there's much more debunking in this article by Joe Nickel. If you want to find it, it's online, and it's pretty interesting to read. His take on the Warrens he doesn't like the Warrens. I don't
Mm.
think anyone at the Skeptical Inquirer does. They're very hated. I think that's where I first read. I used to subscribe to this magazine, and that's probably where I first read that they were frauds.
Yeah.
It definitely was something related there. And he, like you mentioned, he thinks that it was a very dysfunctional family situation. Carolyn and Roger were on the verge of separation when they entered this house, and then this marriage did eventually end in divorce. Roger always hated the Warrens and called them two-bit charlatans. And Carolyn, they believe Carolyn insisted her daughters agree the house was haunted as a kind of like a show of loyalty, like get the daughters on her side to side with her over the dad, which happens in
Yeah.
divorce. Not as crazy as this normally, but definitely happens. Now, I mentioned that he did this tour with the owners, Jerry and Norma Sutcliffe. They lived on the
author of The Skeptical piece?
Joe Nickel.
Okay.
They lived on the property from 1987 to 2019, and they had no strange occurrences. Their biggest issue was vandals and trespassers that happened following the 2013 release of the Conjuring film. Another couple purchased the house for $400,000, just over $400,000 in 2019, and they claimed to have tons of demonic activity. But at this point, people are now motivated to amp up this haunted pedigree.
Are they also YouTubers?
Yeah, I don't know if they're YouTubers, but they sold the property a few years later for $1.5 million, so triple what they bought it for in a few years, based on this haunted pedigree.
Right.
The house was purchased by a Boston developer named Jacqueline Nunez, and she had a lifelong fascination with the supernatural. So, of course, when she gives interviews, she pumps up this supernatural angle, saying the house doesn't allow people to live there year-round because the energy is so powerful. And she made a fortune letting paranormal investigators and fans come to visit the house. She offered overnight stays. There was haunted tours, all of this stuff.
But no one lives there year round? Didn't you say that couple lived there from the 80s until 2019?
Right. That's her opinion. I mean, the people who lived there for like whatever, 30
decades?
years,
That's
we're fine.
Crazy.
Now, funnily enough, when I was like ending this, I was like, well, where are we now with this house? Just this week or last week,
yeah,
there was an auction for this house that was canceled because mystery buyer purchased the haunted property like off the auction, like before it went up for auction.
Zach Baggins.
Honestly, it doesn't say yet in this article because it literally just happened, and it was going to happen on Halloween. It was like this big auction, and then a mystery buyer swooped in and purchased it in advance. Hold on a second. Interest from wealthy celebrities, paranormal fanatics, including Matt Rife.
Oh, wait,
we talked about this.
We reported the story that he bought this house.
I don't know if he did. I think he wanted to.
He wanted to buy the house, but he also bought
something else from the Warrens. He bought something from the Warrens, right? Or it was like
Annabelle.
Some kind of lease.
He became Annabelle's guardian.
Yeah.
That's what
he was trying to buy this house, but he didn't buy this house. I don't think they have told us yet who has purchased the home, but it's Jacqueline Nunez, the owner I just mentioned. She was the owner, and she basically it's set up now to be a tourist attraction. So I guess we'll keep you posted if we find out some weirdo bought it.
Yeah.
That's famous. But that's where we are today with the house. It's a tourist attraction. Maybe if we go up to New England, we could drive by it.
We're going to go to New England.
Yeah.
So
we can hit some of these places.
I would love to hit some of these places. I've never been to New England.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, I love it there. It's great. My favorite is Newport, Rhode Island. I love Newport. I used to go there frequently.
Really?
Because I loved going, they have these like Gilded Age Rockefeller mansions. All the rich people used to vacation in Newport.
Right.
It was like the old Hamptons. So they have these massive fucking mansions on the cliffs of Newport looking out over the sea. And they're so fun to tour. I think I told you I went to Jackie O's farm that she grew up on. It's also in Newport. That's where I saw the huge donkey dick.
The donkey dick.
Yes.
I remember that.
So I toured so many of those houses. They have amazing food. I stayed in a great B&B by these two gay guys owned. It's kind of there's like a lot of like queer community there. So it's really fun,
Nice.
good food. I always remember the owner of that B&B when I came to check in and he's like, I just made fresh zucchini bread.
Aw.
And I was like, I love it here. So I have like such positive experiences in Newport. I would love to pop in again and see what's up there. It was so fun. And I love a lot of New England. It's like the weather is amazing. It's great beaches. It's like foggy,
Yeah.
cold sweater beaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So
Well,
yes, I'll post some pictures.
I'm excited to see pictures of this house and these people. Great episode. I really enjoy like the debunking part of it as well.
Yeah. I like that
So
too.
it's interesting for sure.
Okay, we
All
will
right.
see you next week with more haunted
Or
or
murder.
horror. We don't know. Scary.
We don't know what I'm doing next week.
No, we don't. Bye.
Bye.